Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. HTM here with another update live from the PTS. In this video, we want to talk about the new armor changes going into effect in the upcoming Flames of Ambition DLC that's going to be released in about a month and a half from now. We've been checking out the PTS all week, and it's, I would have to say, one of the biggest PTS cycles ever in terms of just the amount of changes that are going through. We talked about the new champion point system, some of the changes with skills and racial passives, just a lot of changes all over the board. And I want to make sure you are up to date and informed as far as the new armor passive changes. We now have armor penalties and armor bonuses. Penalties are just for light and heavy armor, and then the bonuses are for light, medium, and heavy armor. And then in addition to that, some of the passives that were already in place did get changed quite significantly. So lots and lots of interesting changes going on here. Let's jump into the armor skill trees right now, take a look, and let me show you where things are at right now for the PTS Week 1. I want to talk about the penalties and bonuses, but first I want to just go over the passives and how those have changed. So under the light armor skill line, Grace, this still gives you reduce the effectiveness of snares, and it still reduces the cost of sprint. That has not changed. Evocation still gives you 4% magicka recovery per piece, as well as 2% magicka cost reduction per piece. Spell warding actually got buffed through the roof. This is pretty OP, I would say now. Increase your spell resistance by 726 for each piece of light armor equipped. That's essentially doubled. So if we do the math really quick on that, that's about 5,000 bonus spell resistance if you're wearing 7 pieces now of light armor. That's pretty strong. Prodigy did actually see a bit of a nerf here. This now gives you 219 spell critical. That's essentially 1% spell critical if you're trying to work out the conversion there. So with 7 pieces of light armor, you're going to get about 7% bonus spell critical. If you're only doing 511, you're only going to have 5% spell critical. And I think that just goes to show that they are trying to reduce crit chance across the board, especially in this patch. We've seen that with a lot of the armor sets as well. But now concentration, this used to give you about 4,800 extra spell penetration for wearing 5 pieces of light armor. This now scales up based on how many pieces you're wearing. So it's going to be even stronger at 7 pieces. And if I do the math on that really quick, that's 6,573 spell penetration for 7 pieces of light armor. So light armor is now looking to be pretty OP in terms of like damage dealing. I think this is going to be really good, especially in PvP content. Yeah, that's going to be strong. If you're only doing 5 pieces of light, it's going to be basically where it was before. But now you can get the bonus for wearing 2 extra pieces of light. So I do actually like that. It makes you think more about your build. It gives you more build choices in terms of what you want to do with your armor pieces. Now let's talk about penalties and bonuses, because these are completely new coming up in Update 29. So light armor now gives you penalties for wearing. Each piece of light armor will add the following penalties. So you're going to increase your damage taken from martial attacks by 1%. And martial attacks are basically any physical damage type. So that could be poison attack, that could be poison damage, disease damage, physical damage, whatever. So you're potentially taking 7% more damage from those physical-based attacks. You're also going to increase the cost of block by 3%. So you're not going to be able to block very well on a light armor build. I guess that makes sense. And then you'll also decrease damage done with bash by 1%. So those are the penalties. We also have additional bonuses. Each piece of light armor will now reduce your damage taken from magical attacks by 1%. So potentially 7% bonus damage reduction on any magical attack. It's pretty good. You're going to reduce the cost of roll dodge by 3% per light armor piece. Increase your movement speed while sneaking by 5% per piece. Reduces the cost of break free by 5% and reduces the cost of bash. So overall, I think light armor actually came out pretty good in terms of the bonuses that it got. In addition to those updated passives, I mean, the reduced cost of roll dodge You'll be anywhere from like 15% to 21% reduced cost of roll dodge. That's really strong. Also, the reduced cost on your break free is equally good. So these are pretty good overall. I do like it. Let's move on to medium armor. Talking about the passives first, what has changed? Dexterity actually got reduced a little bit. This is similar, like we talked about the spell critical passive for light armor. They don't want us having as much critical. This again is 1%, essentially 1% critical per piece of medium armor worn. So keep that in mind. Windwalker did not change. It's still 4% stamina recovery, 2% cost reduction per piece. Improved sneak, this did not change. Agility did change. And so this is actually a bit of a nerf for medium armor. You now increase your weapon damage by 2% for each piece of medium. So the most you can get is now 14% with 7 pieces of medium. That used to be 15% if you had at least 5 pieces. If you're doing 5 pieces of medium, you'll see a pretty significant nerf, 5% down on your weapon damage. And then athletics, this did not change. You still get the increased movement speed of sprint and reduced roll dodge cost. Now, it is interesting that medium armor has no penalties. I guess that's because it's just like your average armor. I guess it makes sense. So we just have medium armor bonuses. So each piece of medium armor now does the following. Reduces the cost of sprint by 1%. Reduces the cost of sneak by 5%. Reduces the cost of block by 3%. Reduces damage taken from area of effect attacks by 2% for 2 seconds after using roll dodge. So if we had 7 pieces of medium, that's 14% damage reduction on any AoE attack for 2 seconds. That's pretty decent. And then you're going to increase movement speed by 2% while immune to crowd control. So those are the medium armor bonuses. Again, no penalties for wearing medium armor. Pretty interesting. Finally, let's talk about heavy armor. Some passives did change here. First off, the Resolve passive did just go down a little bit. I think this was like 360 physical and spell resistance per piece. It's now 343. Constitution and Juggernaut did not change. This still gives you health recovery, magicka and stamina back, and max health. Revitalize did change though. This increases the magicka or stamina your heavy attacks restore by 4% for each piece of heavy armor. This used to be, I believe, 25% max, and all you need was 5 pieces. So if you're wearing 7 pieces of heavy armor, that is going to go up just a couple of percentage points. And then finally, rapid mending. This is very similar, but again, the scales off of how many pieces you're wearing. So I believe it used to be 8% if you had at least 5 pieces equipped. Now it's 1% per piece. So the most you can get healing received is going to be increased by 7%. Now, in terms of the penalties for heavy armor, this is pretty interesting, actually. I know this has been talked about for quite a while. Each piece of heavy armor actually reduces your movement speed when sprinting. Not regular movement speed, just sprint speed. So if you're wearing 7 pieces of heavy, you now sprint 7% slower. This is interesting too. It also increases your damage taken from magical attacks. So you take 7% more damage from magicka abilities if you're wearing 7 pieces of heavy armor. You're also going to increase the cost of roll dodge pretty significantly, 3% per piece. So between 15 and 21% increased cost for roll dodging. That's going to be pretty significant across the board. I think for tanking, PvE, even for PvP builds, you're going to need to watch your roll dodging even more than usual. And then you also increase the size of your detection area while sneaking. That's pretty interesting as well. So, obviously a lot of these make sense from just a common sense point of view, right? I mean, if you have a huge set of heavy armor that you're wearing, it's going to be very loud to where you're not going to be able to sneak around in a full set of heavy armor. I mean, it's going to be almost literally impossible now if you think about this, because you increase your detection radius by 10% per piece. So it's going to be between 50 and 70% greater detection for your heavy armor build. That's kind of funny, actually. You also won't be able to roll dodge as well with a full set of heavy, and you're going to be slower while sprinting. I mean, it totally makes sense, but it's definitely a huge, game changer in terms of what your build is going to function like. You really have to think about what armor sets you're using. And then finally, the bonuses here. Let's check these out. So each piece of heavy armor does reduce your damage taken from martial, or in other words, physical attacks. You also increase the amount of damage you can block by 1% per piece. You increase your damage done by bashing by 3%, and reduces your damage taken while immune to crowd control by 2%. That last one is actually really strong, you guys, especially for PvP. When you're under that CC immunity, if you have 5 pieces of heavy, you're now taking 10% less damage, up to a max of 14% less damage for a pretty long time. I mean, CC immunity is a long time. So that's potentially going to make heavy armor builds even stronger in PvP. I don't know. We'll have to see how that plays out. But all that being said, those are the changes. We now have penalties and bonuses. So those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below what surprised you about this. Do you think this makes sense, or is this going to be really game-changing for the Elder Scrolls Online overall? Let us know what you think down in the comment section below. Of course, if you liked the video, if you found it informative, don't forget to crush that like button. It really helps out the channel, so I appreciate that. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. I am doing a lot of updates this week on the PTS, and as soon as any more major changes happen, you'll see those up on my channel as soon as possible. So, as always, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're doing well. Stay safe out there, and I will see you around in the next video.